Hello everybody, I'm Hoardergamer, and this is Hoarder's Comic Flex. I hope you're doing well. Today we've got comic book reviews. We have that just about every week, so that's not really a big surprise or anything. We have some gaming news, we got some toys. It's more so the surprises are what we'll talk about, not like, the actual topics, or the segments, I guess you could say. First off, we are going to start with a good horror book that is steeped in HBO level vocabulary. Damn Them All! This is Damn Them All number 7. And the first 6 issues of the story arc, that's completed. And they actually put out a trade today. But a lot of shops, including mine, sold out of it. So it's popular. It's very popular. Basically, it's about Elle, also known as Bloody Elle, and she's out to find these demons that have escaped hell and send them back there. So, there's basically this insane slaughter, and some sort of witch creature caused it. There, she's trying to investigate, working with a dog that has a spirit inside it that can be immensely helpful but can't give her direct answers. So she basically almost has to trick the dog and or use the dog's skills, such as one point his keen sense of smell, in order to find clues and things like that. And then there's this funny scene where she sits there I think having a cigarette as the dog has to dig this grave for her to see if her uncle's body is there, so they can basically bring him back to basically almost have like a seance type of thing. Body's missing, and there are these candles there. And she's like, hey, I know you could tell me who did this based on these candles and this magic aura. But I know you could tell me, but I know you can't. So use your dog skills. You're in the form of a dog. Sniff your way. Tell me that. I'm sure you can do that, right? And the dog is like, well, sure. So the dog does that. They find this person who's connected to demons. And the demon he made a bargain with was one of the weakest level pathetic demons. And he has this coin. She's trying to get it. And when she does that, it's basically like a multiple of her previous boyfriend, Killian, shows up, and they all run in separate directions with the coin. Very odd. Even more wild is the big bad in this story arc seems to be angels. And Cy Spurrier basically spells it out that the whole idea of God and the angels is a zookeeper and a zoo. But the zookeeper can't keep control of any of the animals in the zoo. Everything is pure and complete chaos. So he just gets tired of it. And he leaves the zoo behind. And the builders, the architects of the zoo, are just left there. And those architects, those builders, they bore easily. So that's how the angels are in this. And they sound like they're going to be pretty darn frightening. So they like float around. They have these interesting symbols, all in like white outfits, like suits. But it's like they're controlling people. We don't know to what end yet. We just know like dead bodies and people that seem to be like being used against their will to do things. But it's kind of vague at this point. So it's a good intro though, and a very frightening enemy. Or not enemy, but like antagonist, I guess you could say. But I do like it. If you're a fan of like Buffy the Vampire Slayer or Something is Killing the Children, I really think you'll like Damn Them All. And Cy Spurrier has done a lot with Marvel Comics recently, so this might be possibly one of Cy's first like original books. I'm not sure exactly, but yeah, I do like it. I think it's cool. Okay, so that is our first comic book review for this week. Next up, we've got some video gaming news. Huge, massive, delicious update hit Diablo 4. You need a knife and fork to sink your teeth into this update. Especially if you're playing as a sorcerer or as a barbarian. Because that's the best part of this update. After a previous update kind of screwed up those characters a bit, they came back and they buffed them, and they're playing, from what I've heard, pretty well right now. Maybe not at the heights they were, but pretty darn well, and a lot more survivability for the sorcerer. Hey Doom, how you doing? It was good to see you, Doom. For basically what's cool is they actually took every single class and they buffed every class. But again, sorcerer and barbarian got the most love. Druid got some love, which is really nice. That is my Eternal Realm character. Currently I'm doing a rogue for season 1. And rogue, I use the Rain of Arrows as my ultimate. And now, first volley of arrows for Rain of Arrows will actually knock the enemies down and hurt them. And then the second volley will slam down on them, possibly finishing them off. So previously, and it wasn't an error, it was how they designed the ability, it used to be the first row of arrows would hit, hurt the enemy, then the second row would come, and that would actually stun them and knock them down. What they realized, though, is a lot of enemies, especially in higher difficulty levels, would move. So the player only got the benefit of the one volley of arrows as the second volley would hit the enemy. So they realized, okay, what we need to do is that first volley needs to knock the enemy down, and the second one has to hit them hard. So it's really cool. And that's actually the ultimate I use as a rogue, so I'm very happy about that. Also, too, an ultimate is something you have to wait 45 seconds to 60 seconds to use. It's a very powerful ability. And if you're waiting that 45 seconds and you're fighting a boss or some real difficult elite or a champion, on tier 3 and tier 4 you start fighting champion enemies. That's just a more powerful elite, basically, with an aura around it. Anyway, if you do that and you have to wait 45 seconds to 60 seconds to use that ultimate and it doesn't work well, your character's probably going to die. So definitely, Doom, when you jump in, let me know. Basically, I can play with you. I could go on like tier 1, tier 2, whatever. I'm currently on tier 3. I finally got to tier 3 in the season. I hope to make tier 4 in the next week or two. And I want to say I'm on 49 or 50 when it comes to the season pass. I think there's 90 levels, and I think I'm like at 50 right now. So, but yeah, I very much like Diablo 4. In case everybody didn't know, I talk about it, you could say, ad nauseum. But I'm very happy with this patch. I think it's really good. And one of the only issues they have is that some of the legendary abilities, the affixes changed, and I don't think they were meant to. So they even made the season mechanic, the Wrathful Heart, easier to obtain. So that's really nice. You had a 1 in 30 chance, and now it's 1 in 10. 1 in 30. And I think the Invoker was like 1 in 50. No, the Invoker might have been 1 in 30, and then like the heart itself, if you created hearts, was like 1 in 50 or something crazy. But now it's much more obtainable. 1 in 7, 1 in 10, respectively. That's pretty much right now all the Diablo news. New game comes out tomorrow, Atlas Fallen. Reviews are already out. It looks to be around a 7 to 8 game. As in like a base score seems to be about 7 to 8. Which is not bad at all, especially for a brand new title. It's a action adventure and it's co-op. So it's not like a huge like multiplayer team. It's you and another person, and it's just action RPG with side missions, a main campaign, and it's instant in, instant out co-op or whatever they call that. Easy in, easy out. I forget what they call that, but it's the nicest type. It's the nicest type of online co-op. I think it looks really cool. It's $59.99. Currently, though, I'm going between Diablo 4 and Remnant 2, and I actually made progress in Remnant 2 and defeated a boss. So, for me, I was happy. The bosses are not easy. I had to level up the weapons. I had to even get armor. Numerous attempts, very challenging, and then a number of different waves of attack. Certain times you fight the boss, they'll use different attacks. And it was like, oh my god, what is this thing doing now? But yeah, it's a very cool game. One thing I've talked about Remnant 2, when you die, the game does not overtly punish you. You don't lose your big currency, you don't lose your items, so it's not exactly like a Dark Souls experience. It's much more approachable. It's very challenging, though. The way the game gets difficult is there's only certain checkpoints that are real checkpoints. Or save points, I guess you could say. Some of them are basically part of an actual, like, labyrinth or a mission area, I guess you could say. They're not regular. So if you leave that and go to the hub and go somewhere else then and try to come back, you're only going to be able to use the main checkpoint. And you'll have to work your way back to like where that boss or what other thing is. So that's something to keep in mind. Plus checkpoints are a bit few and far between. So you will get a bit aggravated as very powerful enemies are killing you as you're trying to, you know, fill out the map and find out where the checkpoints are. But again, the sense of exploration really sets it apart and makes it worth that experience. And I honestly have never felt as frustrated in this game as I have with Souls games in the past. And that's probably because you don't lose your scrap, which is one of your currencies. You don't lose your iron. You don't lose rings that you use for different abilities. You slot them on. It's like 4 rings on one hand. Yeah, you don't lose that stuff. Also, as far as I know, weapons and armor do not break. I believe once you have them, you can use them and they won't break down. Let's see here. We got Atlas Fallen. We got Remnant 2. Ooh, RoboCop fans. Right now there's a rumor that RoboCop Rogue City will be hitting around November 9th. Basically, it's very believable because the game doesn't have pre-orders open yet. And the existing release date that we knew of was only September of 2023. Super vague. Like, even Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League has an actual date now. You know, when they've got pushed back. February 2nd. I believe it's February 2nd. But this just has a month. And being that we're already in what, let's see, August 9th. Okay. It's just over like a month and 2 weeks away for the end of September. So it does look like it could very well be November 9th. One of the reasons this rumor has popped up is because a number of video game dealers online have that date on their website. So that's why people think that's what's happening. And that Teon or the main company, like the publisher or whatever, they just haven't said yet. But I like what I've seen. Someone actually, I don't know if they were supposed to, but someone went and put footage of the game on YouTube, like about an hour of it, RoboCop Rogue City, from like, I guess, a closed beta. So I think it looks really good. If you're a big RoboCop fan, I think it looks awesome. The character model looks fantastic. Peter Weller does the voice of RoboCop. Yeah, I think if you're a fan, you'll really like it. The opening is just like one of those news briefs that they had in RoboCop 1 and 2. I don't remember 3 because it's my least favorite of the films. I don't like to be negative, but I honestly, I did not like 3, RoboCop 3. I don't know if that's like an odd thing. I thought it was really disappointing. But like they'll have those news briefs to give us 60 seconds, we'll give you the world. So they actually have a digital version of the actor that was in the first and second RoboCop that was the anchor on that talk show or that news show. And they have like fake commercials, I guess, throughout the game. And Nuke, the big drug that was in RoboCop 2 that Kane was selling, yeah, or actually making. He was manufacturing it, really. That's a big part of the game, too. So I'm really looking forward to RoboCop Rogue City. Also, it looks like they sped up RoboCop's movement. His deliberate inertia / mechanical movement, because you know he's RoboCop, it looked very slow in early previews. And I know what they were going for, but in an actual action game, when you're playing it, when you have your hands on the controller, that lack of speed may not be that much fun. So I like what I saw, though. I like the targeting. I like the incredible violence. Like RoboCop just walks up to somebody, just punches them in the face, and you can imagine how that goes. It looks really neat. Let's see what else we got. Wayfinder, I believe, is next week. Early access. You can get like one of those founder packs. I believe it's as cheap as $19.99 for the base founder pack. And I was online looking at what people thought about like betas, alphas, and stuff for this game, and they were pretty much happy with it. So I don't know. That's something to keep in mind. If Doom is still here, Immortals of Avium comes out, I believe, August 22nd. I think it looks really good. I would say it looks like a mix between like Doctor Strange, like in the movies, the way magic is done in the movies, and BioShock. Because it's like first person, and there seems to be like almost like plasmid type items that you grab to increase your powers. And there's this moment where you're like on this bridge and there's like a giant airship or something, and it reminded me a lot of BioShock Infinite. So I think it looks really cool, though. It looks very polished. Like a lot of money was put into it. It's from EA. I do worry a little about the story. There's something in there called the Everwar, which very much sounds like this generic video game thing. So I don't know. That was one of the only issues, by the way, with Atlas Fallen. People were saying that some of the voice acting wasn't great, and the story is very disappointing. However, the moment-to-moment action, RPG elements, and playing in co-op is what most of the reviews said they truly enjoyed about the game. So, okay. I think we're pretty much done with video game news. Okay, next up. We're going to toy around, everybody. I got some toys this week to show you. Here we go. Now, these you can actually get right away. You can pre-order these, and if you were to, I don't know, if you went to like a place called Entertainment Earth and use code Hoarder, that supports me. I'd appreciate it. You don't have to. It's something you could do. Here we have Kingpin from Hawkeye. Okay? He's got the cane. I believe he has another pair of hands, I think. But I think it looks really good. When you go online to look at a nice, huge picture of this, it very much looks like Vincent D'Onofrio. This is a really good Kingpin MCU look action figure. $24.99. Retail on these is $24.99. I don't think you'll find these for $19.99. I don't think so. There's like 6 of them, but I'm showing like 3 of them right now. But yeah, here's Kingpin. Okay, let me remove Kingpin. I'll send him back to New York City. And now, look at this, everybody. Talos. So, you get the Ben Mendelsohn action figure, which looks a lot like Ben Mendelsohn. You get the Talos head and Talos hands, so you can actually have him be Skrull or human. It's your choice. So look at that. And next up, it was Agatha all along. Agatha Harkness. Now, I know it says WandaVision, but this kind of doubles for House of Harkness as well. So, I think it's a really good take on Agatha. I like it a lot. Looks a lot like the actress. Look at that. Agatha Harkness. Now, there's also a really cool Nick Fury where he's got like kind of the winter hat and the black jacket and everything from Secret Invasion. They do not have Gaia, though. I was hoping there would be a Gaia figure. Maybe that's coming, but I don't know. 1 second here. They also don't have the bad guy, the ostensible bad guy in the Secret Invasion yet. So maybe that's a second series. Maybe that's a second series. Maybe they'll have like extra arms and stuff to do like the Super Skrull transformation stuff. Maybe that's what they're waiting for. Because like I would be really surprised if they don't have toys. Okay. So, next up, Nolan Villains. The Dark Knight trilogy, okay? From McFarlane Toys. This is gold label. Bank robber Joker. So you get the Joker head and the bank robber head, okay? And he's wearing the bank robber outfit. I believe he comes with a gun, if not two. And I believe he comes like with, I think it's a purple bag. The money bag, I believe he has. Then you have Bane with the material jacket. I don't think it's actually a leather jacket, but it's like a material jacket. And then you have Sonar Joker. So that scene like towards the end of Dark Knight with the office building and using the sonar, this is like a version of the Joker from that. So it's a neat visual effect. One thing that's a little frustrating though, in the US you can only get this as a 3-pack from McFarlane Toys website, and it's $90. It's $30 a figure. So it's $90. Or you can get them, I believe, like Amazon, but other countries, and then it's like 30-something a figure. But you can get them separately in other countries. So, technically, with the fees and everything, it's less expensive to buy the 3-pack from McFarlane Toys. But yeah, I very much love that. I like all three of them. But I love the bank robber Joker, and I love the Bane with the actual material jacket. Okay, we are done with our first comic book review. We're done talking about video games, and we just finished toying around. So next up, we're looking at the future. The future of comic books all the way to 1 week from today. Okay, first up we have Sirens of the City number 2. I reviewed issue 1. I thought it was really good. Basically, the main character finds out that she's possibly a siren, and that her boyfriend slash father of her child, I believe, a vampire, and there's a world of like monsters and darkness in New York that she was heretofore she didn't know of. And she recently got kicked out by her parents because of something involving her powers that she couldn't control. And she's like currently on the streets trying to find her way. Sirens of the City number 2. So I really liked issue 1, so I wanted to make a point of mentioning issue 2. And it's still very early on, so you could pick it up and kind of go from here. And yeah, yeah, it's good. It's kind of like comedy horror so far. Okay, let me remove that. X-Men Red. Okay. It's not a big surprise. The next review we'll have tonight of comics is going to be Immortal X-Men. I believe it's 14. Yes, Immortal X-Men 14. So, as I talked about before, like the two best X books, if you only got 2 a month, to me would be X-Men Red and Immortal X-Men. They're excellent. They're really, really good. And this is basically looking at the aftermath of what happened at the Hellfire Gala. At least for like the last, I want to say it's 3 years, there's been like a Hellfire Gala comic book that comes out. And it's like a big event, and it's kind of like the Met Gala, except, you know, supernatural and like superheroes and all sorts of wacky, insane things happening. So this year was no different. Basically, all the mutants, Xavier doesn't know where they are. He thinks they're dead. He's not doing well. And Storm and a number of mutants are still on Araco, which is where all the mutants were thought to be. But that's not the case. So basically, she's trying to piece things together and try to, you know, understand what happened, you know, how they can even try to get back to Xavier, because the deal they made under great duress was if they come back to Earth, then Mr. Sinister and the people that work with Sinister are going to kill tons of humans. So, yeah, that's the deal. So it'll be very interesting to see how X-Men Red plays out and what goes on Araco. And we'll be talking a little bit more about the repercussions of the Hellfire Gala when I get to the review of Immortal X-Men later. Okay, so let me remove that. Next, we have Uncanny Avengers, also part of Fall of X. Okay, so what happened, and look at this insane cover, by the way. You're going to notice right away, X-Men and Avengers. Mutants and Avengers. So it's basically, this is what's left, and a coalition to basically, you know, not only just coexist, but to stop Sinister and everything else like that without getting humanity killed in the process. So it should be very interesting. It's Jerry Dugan and Jonathan Hickman writing it. So those are great writers. It's the main X-Men writer, and it's the gentleman who came up with a lot of the House of X, Powers of X, Krakoa story arc. And that would be Jonathan Hickman. So I expect Uncanny Avengers to be very good. There's a very strong chance, too, I will review that next week. So keep that in mind. Not 100%, because I still have a couple other things I'm thinking of reviewing, but really strong chance of that one. And finally, everybody, this is awesome. Detective Comics, Volume 1, Gotham Nocturne Overture. Ram V taking over Detective Comics to create an insane gothic opera around a nightmarish family known as the Orgum family and them coming to Gotham. And there's music boxes that basically turn people into murderous psychopaths. There's like crazy, like almost like Victorian, like Frankenstein stuff like going on. It's a crazy, insane story arc. And here it is in hardcover. Detective Comics, Gotham Nocturne Overture. So, if you're a fan of Batman, both Batman and Detective Comics, and I've mentioned this so many times, Right now, it's like some of the best comics you can read. So, yeah, this is exciting right here. Okay, let me send this back to a Gothic Batcave. I don't even know if that one worked, to be honest with you. A Gothic Batcave? What Batcave isn't Gothic? Maybe the Batman and Robin Batcave. That might have been a little bit like too camp to be Gothic, maybe. It's possible. Okay, so finally we have our next review, and Immortal X-Men number 14. And this is the aftermath of what happened at the Hellfire Gala. And as I said, Xavier is basically shattered. Emma Frost tries to communicate with him. He wants none of it. He wants to basically mourn the X-Men he believes are dead. Because apparently, with Cerebro and with his mutant gifts, even if they were in like another multiverse, he could still connect to them, still know they're there. He has nothing. He has nothing. And it was thought that these gates that were in the Hellfire Gala, which took place in Krakoa, that these gates the mutants would take would funnel them all to Araco, and off Earth and to Mars to Araco. But what Xavier finds out is that these gates were contaminated, and all the mutants, as we find out in this issue, end up in the desert. Okay? And the book goes incredibly biblical as they are being led out of the desert, I kid you not here, by a mutant named Exodus. And there's actually a paragraph of prose which is very similar to in the Bible, where the people were getting fed up with Moses and wondering how long they're going to be, you know, going through the desert because they're hungry, they're tired. Right around that time, they started making like the false things to worship. And like, you know, right around that time, or they were thinking of that at least, before he actually went and got the tablets. On, I believe, Mount Sinai it was. So there's interesting biblical allusions here, which I thought were wild. And also, Sebastian Shaw of the Hellfire Club thought that Sinister and his ilk was going to reward him handsomely, but he got completely screwed over. So he owns Krakoa, but none of Krakoa's finances. So he's decided that he's going to basically make sure Krakoa stays in its hibernative sleep, because remember, it's like a living thing. It's like a living island. So he wants to make sure it's hibernating, and he wants to basically rip all the resources out of it and become incredibly rich. So, yeah, there's a lot going on here. And I think it's very interesting. The desert could be on Earth, and for some reason Xavier can't reach them. I would say more likely it's another planet. We don't know yet. And yeah, you know, I thought it was really good. And I'm enjoying all the ramifications of Hellfire Gala. I liked Sins of Sinister. So even though very hard to like follow, because there's so many versions of Sinister, and because he screwed around when the mutants were like brought back from death, and there's a little of him in each mutant, at least at some point. It's wild. It is so wild. But I like it a lot. I like it a lot. I've always contended, and a friend of mine, I think, also said the same thing, X-Men's kind of like this wild soap opera. There's romance, there's evil supervillains, and, you know, all this craziness going on. And it's been happening for like, what, 50 years now? 40, 50 years? So, yeah. Everybody, I want to thank you all very much for watching. I want to thank Doom Squad Gaming and Doomkiller HD for letting me borrow the channel. Thank you very much. Let's see. If you want to see more of me, I'm at twitch.tv/Hoardergamer. I'm doing a lot of Diablo 4. Some would say too much Diablo 4. And then also I'm doing some Remnant 2, which I really like as well. I don't know if I'm going to do Alice Fallen. I'm not sure yet. I think it looks like fun, and I do want to play it. I don't know about full retail on that one. Immortals of Avium I find exciting, but again, I want to see reviews for it, so not sure about that one either. What I am sure of is next week at 8 p.m. Central, another episode of Hoarder's Comic Flex. Thank you, everybody, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you. Bye-bye. Have a good week.